Hello there, lovely people, it's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and it is finally time for our review of The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD. This game is practically 10 years old, so naturally we're going to be focusing primarily on the new things in this HD version, rather than just echoing the past, because who wants that? But anyway, without any further rabbiting, let's get right into it. It's been a season of remakes for the Legend of Zelda series, what with the N64 outings and Wind Waker all getting souped up re-releases, and now it's the turn of one of the more debated titles in the franchise. Twilight Princess HD gives skeptics a chance to experience the story and adventure of the original title without all of that waggling. Whether you were a fan of the Wii remote controls or not, most people will remember them as being a crucial part of the game, but having motion controls stripped out completely, save for a few instances of Splatoon-esque gamepad aiming, breathes a surprising amount of new life into the game. That is, of course, unless you were savvy enough to invest in the GameCube version, you cheeky little ragamuffin. The general feel of the controls is extremely similar to Wind Waker HD, and believe me when I say that that is no bad thing. Every button is used appropriately and sensibly, the right analog stick at last allows smooth camera control, and the little motion control moments I mentioned previously help everything glide like butter. If you're not up for a motion control kind of caper, you can always turn them off, but we think it's better to have them on. The lack of wrestling with the controls does make the game feel a lot easier than you might remember, and the Tears of Light missions have also been dialed down a bit, but luckily hero mode is unlocked right from the get-go, so anyone looking for a bit more challenge, like me, will be able to have their ass handed to them sideways like the masochists we all are. If you're looking for even more difficulty, or you just want to take the edge off it a bit even, then you can always use another one of the new features, Amiibo. The Amiibo have varying uses. Zelda and Sheik will refill your hearts, Link and Toon Link will do the same with your arrows, but the real fun is to be had with Ganondorf. This feisty little Demon King will double the damage enemies deal to you, and if you combine that with hero mode, suddenly you're taking 4 times the damage. That's not really for everyone though, and where you're going to get the most out of Nintendo's NFC ditties is unsurprisingly with the Wolf Link Amiibo. This little chap unlocks the Cave of Shadows, a new challenge area where you can receive bonuses and even a huge prize should you make it all the way to the end. It should be made clear that whilst the Amiibo do add something to the experience, not having them doesn't detract from it. The whole Twilight Princess storyline is completely intact with or without Amiibo, so if you're not into that kind of thing, you can always save your pennies for something else. Speaking of the storyline, and speaking from a personal point of view, this HD remake has completely changed my view of the game. I put it down to the controls more than anything, but I always really struggle to appreciate this game and really get involved with the storyline, something I'd not experienced with any previous Zelda game, even though I was younger when playing them. Not relying on the Wii Remote for quote-unquote immersive gameplay brings Twilight Princess into the foreground and allows you to become engaged with the storyline without the illusion-shattering pop-ups asking you to point the Wii Remote at the screen. Visually, the game also has a lot to boast about. The character models remain largely unchanged, perhaps with a few extra polygons here and there, but the textures and clarity of everything means that you wouldn't be condemned for thinking that this was originally made for the Wii U. It's by no means up to par with the more top-end games on the system, but saying we've seen uglier games on the console is a colossal understatement. The art design works beautifully with the higher resolution, and comparing it to the Wii original reminds us just how muddy that game looked on the older hardware. Everything runs at 1080p at 30 frames a second, and whilst it's a shame that they couldn't hit 60, those 30 frames have been absolutely rock solid for us, so that has to be lauded. If you were unsure about the game back in the Wii days, then we implore you to give it another go. A majority of the shortcomings have been resolved, and it has resulted in what is quite simply a definitive version of Twilight Princess. It's not without its blemishes, and many have understandably passed it off for being too similar to Ocarina of Time, but nevertheless this is a wonderful addition to the Wii U library. That's why we are proud to give Twilight Princess HD a 9 out of 10, as well as my own personal award for game I most misjudged because of arguably poor controller decisions. If you've not yet had your fill of Twilight Princess HD review goodness, then you can always check out the written review up there, written by my good friend Tom Whitehead. We basically have the same opinion on the game, so you know, it's a good read, you can be sure. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you check out to see whether that subscribe button has a beast mode of its own, and be sure to check out NintendoLife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo related content. Thank you again for watching, bye bye. Oh, my mouth hurts. Oh, my mouth really hurts. Then why don't you check out whether that fluff. It's the S's, I can't get my S's out, there's something. If you didn't know, I've had a tooth taken out of this side, so I've got a big gap in my teeth here, and it means I have to talk a little bit differently, so hopefully you haven't noticed, but I wouldn't be surprised if you had.